Okay. Well, thank you very much. And we usually do humorous videos with the day after a magnificent victory, and I, I should be having a lot of fun and yucking it up and making fun of how fat and stupid Trump is, or speculating what's is he ever seen his dick in this century because he's so fat. But I got to have a serious conversation with you. There was an article in the Washington Post, appeared yesterday. It was posted at 5 a.m. Eastern Time, and it was Eastern Standard Time. And I've had a printout, and this is the title of it. Now, and I'm going to read to you portions of this article because I think it very much relates to who we are, what the United States is, what our vision. So I'm just going to read it. I can't read it all. It's too long. Anybody that is a citizen who cares anything about this country, you got to go behind the paywall, or you got to get somebody to print it out. To my knowledge, this has not been covered very much beyond that. So I will just start reading to you what it says. In 2019, a small group of right-wing donors rented a resort outside the 100-person town of Rockbridge, Ohio, for a summit to secure the future of the MAGA movement. They aim to turn a singular candidate, President Donald Trump, into an enduring political coalition with a pipeline of voters and donors and candidates that would cement the radical transformation of the GOP. Fair enough. Convened by Silicon Valley billionaire Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance, then an investor who had written a best-selling memoir, the meeting includes hedge fund heiress Rebecca Mercer, then Fox News host Tucker Carlson, and economist Owen Cass, according to two of the people familiar with the meeting. Now, understand, editorialized, this is in Jeff Bezos' own newspaper. This is not James Carville's imagination. The people spoke on a condition of an anonymity to describe the private gathering, details of which have not been previously reported. But the person in the room at the time would solidify the group's ambition was someone with a decided lower profile, an Arizona insurance entrepreneur and conservative media figure named Chris Bushkirk. Today, Bushkirk helms a Rockbridge Network, a secretive organization birthed out of the weekend gathering that has established itself as one of the most influential forces in GOP politics. Political strategists credit those close-knit network of businessmen come donors with helping fuel the president's reelection last year and propelling one of its own, Vance, into the vice presidency. With significant funding from tech leaders, Rockbridge aims to equip MAGA to outlive Trump. The group has no website, no public-facing entity, but has assembled posters, data crunchers, online advertisers, and even documentary film on. It is gearing to deploy its arsenal in the 2026 midterms and in the 2028 presidential contest, in which many Rockbridge members hope Vance will be the nominee. The group has assembled a database of deep profiles of potential voters, though non-political memberships, including outdoors groups, churches, according to the person familiar with the organization. I'm going to skip around a little bit here. These organizations have a collective ambition, according to Bushkirk, which is to give business people he sees as vital to the country's future role in shaping government power. Their efforts are guided by the controversial theory of social progress, that a select group of elites are exactly the right people to move the country forward, a position Bushkirk argues is not in defiance of MAGA's populism, putting industry leaders in positions that powers the hallmark of Trump's presidency, from Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to tech titan Elon Musk. And Bushkirk says the MAGA movement has energized this new generation of stewards for the country. His various projects echo what some on the right call astropopulism, an aim to build a bridge between wealthy capitalists and working class people they intend to represent, according to an interview with Bushkirk and 9 other people in his inner circle, profitably reindustrializing the country and tying their interests to that of the base. You either have an extractive elite, an oligarchy, or you have a productive elite, an aristocracy. In every society, he said in an interview at his office in Scottsdale, Arizona. Many innovative periods in history have been driven by such aristocracy. Bushkirk argues and makes his point in this 2020. Really, American order possible in the classic Greek sense, the term isn't pejorative. It is a proper elite that takes care of the country and governs it so well everybody prospers. Oh, gee. As Brunswick sees it, he has an approach to political market as a businessman, identified the gaps and taken deliberate steps to close it. Theo John comment, this is a gun of people who met in a secretive meeting outside of a small town in Ohio to accumulate data on every American, to aggregate that data, to use that data, to have an aristocratic elite that runs the country in the interests of you. And don't worry, these people are all going to take this, they'll take your interests really serious and not their interests. I think people need to be aware. Suppose for a minute, let's just play this game. If we just substituted the names that George Soros convened this, and Barbara Streisand and Hillary Clinton, I don't know, Bill Gates, the Ford Foundation, all went to a secretive meeting to accumulate data on every American to establish an aristocracy that would, in effect, govern them. I cannot read the whole thing. It goes on for pages, but I would think that somebody, maybe enterprising journalists, would pick this up and talk about this and let people know that this is going on. I think it's very important that we understand that there's enormously wealthy people who have decided that they know what is best for America, and they're able to manipulate data on American citizens in a way to establish an aristocracy in this country. I'm not here to tell you that what they're doing is illegal. I don't know that. But what I'm telling you is what they have doing is worthy of your attention, is worthy of the American people understanding what this is. It is worthy of you and journalists and bloggers and websites and everybody else to ask questions. And just how much of this data do you have, and how is this data used? Is it used to, I have no idea. I'm not good enough at this kind of stuff, but I thought that this story in Jeff Bezos' newspaper, let's give Mr. Bezos credit. He's hardly a broke man. And I wish I had the name of it. I know it was a female reporter that wrote it, but I urge you to read this and understand what is going on, and understand this is like some meeting. I don't know. I kept thinking of in The Godfather, when all the Dons met in some bank boardroom in upstate New York to divvy up the country. I mean, it was like set out of a movie. I mean, if I opened up a documentary in rolling hills of Ohio in a small town, and limos and personal security guards and people talking into their lapels and God knows what not, and people sitting around a table deciding stuff that people had no idea was going on, I think it would be of some interest. And I think it would be of some interest, not just for journalists, but academics, for scholars, documentary filmmakers, authors, everything else. I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting that anybody did anything illegal. I don't know. But it'd take people a lot smarter than me and a lot more knowledge than me to look at this. And I think we should be asking questions. I honestly do. I hate to bring a topic of this nature on a day when we've done this well, but I think it's essential that we start paying attention to this. And I mean, it dropped the story on the Monday before the election. I understand that there are other big stories going on, and I understand that there's probably some hope over there that this will just go away. They printed, they got it out of the way, it'll go. But I think you, as American citizens, should be reading this piece and asking questions. As we like to say, I'm just asking questions. What was this about? What was this resort in a town of 100 people somewhere in Ohio that convene probably $1 trillion worth of wealth to figure out how to establish some kind of a tech aristocracy in the United States. This does not strike me as a completely American idea. It strikes me as something that should be vetted, and strikes me something that should be talked about. It's like something that should be examined. And that's what I'm suggesting to you, that I'm reading to you excerpts of an article from the Washington Post. I would urge you to read it. I would urge you to disseminate it. And I'd urge the people who can to ask questions about, what is this? You know, we always thought the wisdom of the common person, that sometimes we didn't like it, and, you know, it was a Jeffersonian kind of view of the world. And, you know, it's Norman Rockwell's paintings, and that's what we all thought America was. I don't think this don't sound like anything out of a Jeffersonian democracy or Norman Rockwell painting to me, but maybe that's what I am, and the world has maybe passed me up, and maybe what we have is outmoded. But I think we should have, I think we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to the country to discuss this before we go down this road. Thank you very much.